Well, at least after that rain, there's at least some moisture on the grass this morning. We got a little dew on the ground. Hey, glad y'all could join us this morning for another Stories on the Hill. Let's see, how about let's get one from the road back when I was a trooper. One evening, now I was stationed down at Canton at the time, and I was assigned to what we used to do. We used to call a concentrated patrol. And what that was back in the day, the troop commander would have an area that had, let's say, a lot of complaints, or they'd had a lot of accidents in, or there was some kind of activity that needed a little bit more attention, a little bit more work. So they would schedule a concentrated patrol. We had one in the state of Dade. That's Dade County. If y'all didn't know, maybe, but the state of Dade County, Georgia, did not come back in the Union until sometime around 1945 or 1947. You might can look it up. Probably got it in Google. But anyway, there was, to begin with, when they wanted to come back in the Union finally, there was a little contention. It sits in the very northwest corner of Georgia. It borders Tennessee on one side, Alabama on the other, and sits in the corner of Georgia. But anyway, they'd been having a little problems over there. There'd been a little outlaw, I'll call it outlaw activity, because that's what it was. The judges were declaring some of these folks outlaws and running them out of the state of Georgia. And the GBI and FBI had a few wanted folks that hid out some on the top of Sand Mountain. Now, Sand Mountain is the tail end of the Appalachians. It's one of the southernmost points in the Appalachian Mountains as they come down the East Coast. Well, they assigned me, and I had a new cadet. I say new, he had just come to Canton out of patrol school. We had patrol units coming from all the different patrol stations: Cedartown, Cartersville, Dalton, Lafayette, whose territory it was, of course. Everybody assigned a unit, and they were given certain things to do and certain people to be on lookout for. This particular reason for the concentrated patrol was that the FBI and GBI had a few folks that were wanted that they wanted to see if we could round up. Well, to get back to the story that I was going to tell about us, we were over there. We'd been on patrol up on Lookout, and then up on Sand Mountain, which that was the concentration, because some of these outlaws would run into Alabama and Tennessee to escape law enforcement and this, that, and the other, and make it difficult to find them, much less round them up. But anyway, after supper that night, we were on patrol, and we were north of Trenton on US 11, just north of the city limits, when we got a call that one of our other units, actually the unit from, I believe it might have been Dalton at the time, or maybe it was Lafayette. But anyway, a couple of guys, Bill Bird and Tommy Shaw, I think they were out of Lafayette at the time. Anyway, they jumped this car, and it's coming southbound on US 11. They jumped it up around Sligo Road, somewhere up there on US 11, and here they come south. Well, we were positioned just right, so I pulled into a service station right about the city limits of Trenton, and turned my lights off and then got my windows down. We listening to see when we might hear them coming and see if we could do anything to head them off. Well, somewhere up around a little community called New England, they lost them, and they lost sight of them somewhere up there. So we're still sitting there, and I hear this rumble coming, and I told David, I said, stand by, we may be about to find something. And sure enough, here comes this 69 Chevy Chevelle. And it sounds like that thing's got a 500 horse blower sitting under the hood of that thing when he comes rumbling by. Well, we jump out on him, we turn on the lights. Actually, at that time, we still had the red bubble lights on top of the car. At that time, I was driving what we called a slick top. Didn't have the bubble lights on it. It was still blue and gray, but we didn't have a top light that people could see real easy. We had inside lights. Well, I pull in behind this Chevelle, and he takes off. Through town we go. Now, Trenton's a quiet little town. It has a square in it. You have to go around the square. It doesn't. The courthouse sits off to the side. It's not on the square. Well, it is on the square, but it's not in the center of town. But anyway, this Chevelle makes the first curve or turn 90 degree through town. He makes the first one. He comes back on the second one and loses it, spins out. Just as he clears the square, there's several little houses. He goes off the road spinning and ends up on the front porch of a residence down there. Well, he breaks, the guy, what we used to call bush bonding. He jumps, the door flies open and he makes a break on foot. He cuts between a couple of these houses. Well, I take off right after him. I jump out of the car and I'm right behind him. I'm maybe 10 yards behind him. He makes a turn to the left. Well, he makes one more turn to the left and just as he passes an opening between the next two houses, my partner David had cut down the other way. He'd gone around the house from the other direction, and he's got the 12 gauge in his hand. And he looked like a guy working on the railroad. As this guy run past the corner of the house, he just drove him into the ground with that 12 gauge, like swinging a ball bat. Well, the guy goes down in front of me. I'm in on top of him. So David and I fall in on top of him. We get his arms behind him, get him handcuffed. And we start marching him back to the patrol car. And by that time, we've got all kinds of backup because the car that had originally been after him, plus other cars in the area, like I said, we're on concentrated patrol. They hadn't seen that many police cars in the state of Dade in years. They didn't even have, at that time, they didn't even have a police department in the city of Trenton. The only registered law enforcement in the county was a sheriff named Allison Blevins. Allison didn't have any paid deputies. They lived in the jailhouse because he was sheriff. His daughter did all the cooking for the prisoners and everything that he had there. And he had no deputies. Like I said, there were no actually certified law officers but the sheriff in Dade County. the state was supplying, you know, we usually kept a car over in that area on patrol, so that was all the law. So if they had 5 or 6 police cars and patrol cars in the area, that was the most law they'd seen in months, weeks, if not years. So anyway, they are all converged on our location, and when I get back, I noticed there's something wrong. Where I left my patrol car and we were taking this guy back to, there's a patrol car sitting there, but it's not mine. It has a bubble light on top. Like I said, I had a slick top. So I look around and there's a track through the grass going off the hill. And my car has rolled about 40 yards down an embankment through a yard and has hit a lady's Pontiac, or Plymouth car sitting down there. So I turn the prisoner over to one of the other guys. He transports him to the jail. David goes along with him to do the paperwork and stuff. I wait until the officer that's in charge of the detail shows up. I tell him what I've got. Evidently, I didn't get my car in park. It ran off down the hill, hit this lady's car. We go down. He does an accident report on it, blah, blah, blah. We have to get a wrecker to pull it back up the hill, but I have very slight damage, and it's just damaged her car a little bit, but it definitely damaged it. So we get to the jail. We get the car out. I get in the patrol car, go to the jail. By the time I get there, David's already processed. Finds out this is one of the guys that they wanted. He has warrants for him. The FBI actually wants him on a couple of federal violations. GBI's got state warrants and everything. So we rounded this up. That was one. We had a good, their concentrated patrol accomplished what we wanted to. Rounded up a couple of wanted suspects. This old boy David hit him with that shotgun. It didn't even break. It just knocked him to the ground. Didn't even require stitches. The EMTs looked him over, declared him fine, and everything was good. He got put into jail and got processed. About a month later, I'm sitting. You know, I had to write up a report on all this and the accident and everything and how it happened. I'm sitting in the patrol station at Canton back in the kitchen with me a cup of coffee like I've got now. About always, if I'm sitting around, I got me a cup of coffee. I'm sitting there, and the captain, who's the commanding officer of the troop that we're a part of, Captain P.C. Peacock, comes through the back door, lays a bunch of papers down in front of me and says, "Look them over, I believe those are yours." And I look them over, and I've got about 3 complaints there. One of them is the lady that, the other one was me speeding through town. Somebody didn't like that. Of course, I'm trying to catch a wanted fugitive now that's running from us. They're all, you know, I write a letter on each one of them, blah, blah, blah. I was doing my job, yada, 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 you know. And the state goes along with me. But the lady that my patrol car hit hers, her complaint was that her insurance company didn't cover the bale of hay that she had in the trunk. And when my patrol car hit it, it dented it enough to the trunk lid that it rained in and ruined her bale of hay, and she wanted somebody to pay for her bale of hay. So the state paid for a bale of hay plus the insurance and fixed her car. So that was the end of that one. one other thing, David had been one of the guys that I had out of patrol school. We had what we called weekend patrols. During patrol school, at about the 4th to 5th week, the weekends, they started sending cadets out to patrol around the areas so they could get some on-the-job training to actually see what patrolling was like. And David he was up for a Saturday and Sunday patrol, and Saturday had been nothing. We couldn't find anything to get into. Didn't hardly even scratch a pad, write a citation, or stop anybody. So Sunday, when I was getting ready to take him back to Atlanta to the police academy, he said, "I don't ever want to come here." Well, sure enough, he ended up in Canton. But that was, and I've got another story to tell you on how that happened too. But anyway, we got finished with that one. Folks, thanks for joining us. If you'll join us every week, we're going to come back, and every week we get together out here on the porch, tell a story or two. If you'll click the link below, you can view the rest. If you've missed any of the stories on the hill, plus we've got a whole set of pottery making instruction videos that we've made. Until next week, this is Fred Ellis saying have a good day from the hill. Talk to you next week.